Best of one series. For those that watch EU and aren't really sure of how things work here, there's always a winner. We go to overtime, and we're gonna play Villa in this one. Seems like it looks like theme park, but don't you worry about it.
Got a reskin, don't worry.
Villa. Yeah. It's not public yet. Come on, man.
Sorry, I'm leaking
You
again.
work at the UB office.
I'm always leaking.
You should know.
At this point, I don't know what's live anymore and what's not. You know, just so much going on.
We're still Playday 1. Don't worry. We're gonna have next 5 weeks of a lot of action. I think that's the point where we start blurring everything together. Villa in Scarz banning out Clubhouse for an even more technical map. I want to say, is this the right choice, James?
This is a really interesting one to me. Starting with Scarz, the only info that us or FAV will have on what Scarz do here on Villa is the one time that they played it in the Korean Open, where they beat a team called Whale quite convincingly, but that's not like an APAC North League level team, right? It's quite a different level. That's the only info because it's one of their most banned maps aside from that. If you go on the flip side, look at FAV, they actually lost this 0-7 to Q Confirm last season. It was undoubtedly the worst game of the entire season from FAV, but it wasn't for a lack of understanding or playing the map well. They had some really cool ideas, in particular roam clearing with Blitz, but it was like I was saying, sometimes a tiny thing would go wrong, they would fall flat on their face.
Well, on the other hand, we're going to see the new Scarz now. There's not really anything we can go off majorly because we haven't seen them compete at this level yet with this new roster. I was going to say maybe they should go to a more very frag heavy map just to get into the groove. Instead, they're choosing one of the most technical maps there is. I mean, if that is what you want to go for, then I commend you. And if they manage to win it from the get-go, then there is definitely something coming here.
Look, let's look at it from this point of view and try to come at it understanding what Scarz might be doing, right? If they're concerned about losing gunfights to FAV, maybe taking them to a map that like Villa that slows down the attackers usually by quite a bit would give Scarz more space to attack. Do you think this makes sense from your perspective, though?
Yeah, perhaps I can kind of see, but I don't know. The only things that we really saw from Scarz that I was really keen on last season was like a bit of Monty play where they would kind of get away with things that maybe they shouldn't have. I think this game mostly comes down to two things. Are the individuals on Scarz just going to perform and play their own game? Because two players coming into a big league, they've never had this amount of pressure before. So if they can get over that pressure, just play their own game, cool. That's what matters for Scarz. For FAV, can they even get their heads in the game? Because last time around, they on Villa just were absolutely stomped. And I think that they've got a lot of good strategies. I just want to see them not get too in their heads when things get a bit tough.
Stan?
Like I'm thinking FAV will win it, but I hope Scarz with their new lineup is going to be able to put a good dent in them, a good fight, and might be able to take the win home. It would be great to see them with the win again.
Yeah, I mean, we saw these changes with Talon. You know, we're very excited to see how new talent really steps up to the plate. This is the right moment for it. So let's see how this goes. We'll toss it over to our casters. It's Scarz versus FAV Gaming, and guess what is Goat? All yours.
Why did he sound ever so slightly disappointed at that, Jess? It's Des Goat.
It's, because I think he's trying to decide whether or not it's going to be Jessuchu or Des Goat. And in his head, he's not yet solidified which one is our duo name, which is fair enough. I will absolutely.
The man is living an identity crisis for us because we're perfectly fine being as we are. Welcome back to the again. This is going to be an interesting game because Scarz have made those two big changes to their lineup. There's no longer their strategic coach having to fill in for them. And I remember speaking to Hybrid, their Italian coach last season, and he said, you know, Fnatic have got it pretty rough. For us, it feels just as bad, if not worse. We have been denied moving altogether. We can't make the pickups to the team that we want to make because of COVID-19. This season, they have gone leaps and bounds towards improving that, and this is time to show what you're made of and show everyone that last season was a write-off and here you mean business. Let's get into this ban phase and see what the two teams want to take away from this game of Villa.
Look, I hope they don't get the same bans again because I don't want to be the bearer of bad news here, but FAV got 7-0'd the only time they played Villa. So there's really only up from here. In fact, it's actually kind of a positive. This is a silver lining out of all of this, is that at least they can look forward to this game and go, we can probably do better than we did last time, and it's against Scarz. They've got a new roster, as we spoke about, that oftentimes takes a lot of time to sort of synergize the team, get everyone coordinated. So maybe that's something that FAV can take advantage of, be the more coordinated team here going up against Scarz. We'll see if FAV decide to go with their usual bans of both Jackal and Maestro. They might change things up, and they are. They're going to go with a Nomad ban.
There we go. So more about trying to prevent those, well, enable those flanks, I guess. There's always kind of a bit of a psychology game to the Nomad. I think that without the Nomad being available, sometimes teams, even if it is available, don't want to pick it because it invites the flanks. And sometimes you want to welcome that and be willing to kill the flankers off as they try and make those kind of plays. If it is there, they're probably not even going to try. Or if they do try, they know they're going to be met with stiff resistance, so will often ignore it. It's one of them bans sometimes that I look at and think of teams like G2 who often completely defer away from playing something like a Nomad to invite those kind of aggressive plays because they feel comfortable in having someone like Citizen being on the flank watch and being able to deal with it. Here, either way, banned away alongside the Clash and the Wamai. Wamai, as we all know, becoming very, very popular around the world. And oddly enough, yesterday saw BDS being the team that kind of pioneered that, not even opting to ban it away, instead leaving it open, but still not playing it.
Well, we're also not surprised to see that Clash go out. Back when Revi was on Scarz, and that's the coach who's now moved back into the coaching position, we see Nosferatu and obviously their new player of Cold Bro as well come in and replace Yas. I think the big thing there is that they're going, well, we get rid of the Clash because Scarz is really well known for playing Clash. Unfortunately, the player that mained it is not on the team anymore. So they might not actually really be countering the new Scarz. I mean, they may have scrimmed, who knows what information they have on this team. But it looks like this particular lineup is just going to be that, I guess, mainstay for Aviator at least. I mean, Nagogo is pretty common, especially for teams that like playing shields. And they're going to do a half setup as well on the AV wall, which I think a lot of teams are coming to like these days, is having that angle open rather than play that sort of wall denial, which I'm not sure I always agree with, especially with the new, you got to think about the new sights there. Like, they're giving you a long line of sight. You got the 1.5s on a lot of weapons. On defense as well, it can work back, but not as effective as the ACOGs.
It seems to be one of them ones where I think teams are still going to find a bit of time to settle on what it is they want to play in that side. But in terms of the setup, you are right. The more and more I think I've watched Villa, the less we're seeing teams committing to completely reinforcing out study. Because I think for the longest time, teams now have got very, very proficient in opening up that bottom side of the wall that goes in towards the A site. And so now, rather than letting a thermite freely walk in and plant it on the ground and get that wall open so you have a nice little hole that cuts all the way through in towards the vaults, instead now at the very least you can choose to contest that, throw impacts at it, whatever you want to do. It lets you play more aggressively in towards study without exposing yourself too much to the stage that you might find yourself getting killed. Either way, FAV start things off on the north side. Very, very atypical here on Villa that when you're looking to attack to the south, you start on the north or vice versa. So I imagine with the drone work already having been carried out earlier on, they should be able to get their way through this map pretty quickly. It looks like that'll be the case. Chloroform is charging his way through into a spot where they can then start thinking around the site. I think this is where a lot of teams on the defensive side can waste a good chunk of time, mind you, is that if teams are taking quite a while on the north side because you're wasting their time and giving them something else to think about, it can lead to these really uncomfortable late round rushes that we've seen quite a few teams fall foul of in the last couple of play days.
Yeah, absolutely. The barricades on some of the library doors as well are probably a big indicator that there is a big bottom floor roam. I mean, we've seen the pulse with 11. He's going to do a big amount of damage if they don't take him out. I'm not sure if there's another C4 down there with him. I wasn't sort of spotting that one out, but nonetheless, I think they might have the mute with the C4 below as well. So that's 2 C4s and a lot of damage that pulse can do. So they need to clear him. They're getting drones down there now, number 2 and Chloroform, but they need Shin and possibly even number 2 to push upon. You can drone them out all you want, but the drones can't shoot. The drones can't remove these players. So they need to act on the information.
We've seen a couple of whiff shots yesterday when those yellow pings came out, not quite connecting shots. A couple of times it did. I recall Voy very distinctly finding 2 kills through the garage wall on Clubhouse from Lounge. But outside of that, only a couple of instances of them really being utilized best by teams. 2 minutes in, this has been one of the most peaceful rounds of FAV. They are a team that had one of the best attacking rates in the competition alongside Cloud9. I believe they were second when it came to that particular stat. This has been a very patient game by them, so I'm expecting this mass explosion later on into the round to determine who walks away the winner.
they don't speed up this roam clear now, or they just completely forget about it, they are not going to have time to execute here. So you can see Shin, he's deciding Shift W is the play. He'll come zooming around, and Canos should be his first target. Will he be able to collect these shots? Oh, and look, it looks like the pulse, but he has no idea Canos is nearby to trade, but Shin doesn't care. He's going to start working on the verticals from below, and this should be a trade back for Scarz. Yes, it is. Easy kill. 20 seconds left on the clock. Will they even get this execute out?
They're in a spot where it's balancing things out at 4 apiece. 15 seconds to go. This means Burst is no doubt the name of the game. You can see them trying to push their way inside of the site here, but there's one at the top of the stairs. Number 2 was waiting and ready, and Canos will find absolutely nothing. Typon going in for the plant. Nosferatu looking to go aggressive on the south balcony. Might find himself tagged down here from behind, but no. The angle is ever so fine, but either way, he's been dropped down by number 2. Diffuser's on the ground. It's a 3 versus 2. FAV in a wonderful position to close this round out here. With only 1 drone left alive, mind you, it's all going to come down to these heads-up gunfights. There's no information to feed back and forth between either side. Just comes down to being able to find the kills or get this diffuser off. Now into a 2 versus 2 as Colbro, one of the new players, steps in, finds a kill onto number 2. The hero of the moment, it feels like, for the side of FAV Gaming. 15 seconds to go. That's 2 kills and a defuse to get through. Runs in, Chloroform finding 1. That leaves Demic entirely by himself. They'll swing out and try and make it happen, but it comes down to FAV to win round number 1. And we thought for the longest time there, Jess, there was no way they should have been winning that round.
The time delay that Scarz employed there was really tactical. I really enjoyed seeing it. It took a lot of drones, a lot of time to even be able to find Canos and 11 on the pulse as well. And I thought to myself, why is FAV taking so long? They know where they are. They've got the roam clearers all still alive to do this job, and they've still got drones in their pockets. Act on that information. They eventually did. They got a little bit too comforted by the fact that they got the pulse. I mean, if I was an attacking team, I would think, hang on, maybe there's someone lurking nearby, meant to be protecting that pulse. Surely he's not downstairs by himself. So then Shin gets traded out. But I mean, the time at that point, it was down to, under a minute left. So time management, something that FAV needs to think about, especially on a map like Villa. We've seen them have bad results on Villa before. If they can speed things up, we'll see more positive results.
Even with it being slow, it did still work out for them, admittedly coming down to a flurry of kills at the kind of point of execution. And I appreciate the intent coming out of Scarz. Canos did try and make it happen by going for that late round flank, so the acknowledgement with that Nomad being banned away, they can pull off plays like that. Why else would you ban it away? You could see the intent, just unfortunately number 2 was stood by waiting. And speaking of number 2, he's one of the players that last season we gave a lot of hype over to when he joined this roster. He was on the Takumi Festival before that, and I believe had something ridiculous like a plus 44 KD, despite every single member on his team being negative otherwise. He was the absolute carry king of that former roster, joined here into the lineup that he's on now in FAV Gaming, and didn't have the best season. He was the joint lowest rated player for them, didn't hit the kind of KD highs that he had before, but I think this season you're going to see him now that he's settled a little bit more and FAV have had time to develop as a unit. You might start to see more coming out of this guy. In that first round, very, very excited to see at the very least that he was very good and very consistent in holding down those flank angles for his team.
Well, the only site that FAV has ever been able to plant on this map has been Aviator, and it looks like Scarz will go back there. They might have been better even going to Statue and Trophy, considering that that's not been a very successful attacking site for FAV, but nonetheless, they'll retry Aviator and try and fix the mistakes that were plaguing them last round, and that means that they'll have to tighten things up here. They're still going to do the bottom floor roam, but this time a Melusi in hand. She still has the C4, so she'll still be able to do her job from below. They actually didn't catch anyone with C4s below before, so I'm wondering whether or not that was just a little bit of a misplay. Maybe they didn't catch anyone above and the horizontal roam clear was too strong.
They were trying to. If you remember, it was Shin who burst into Art Studio and caught the one on the long angle across down towards the southwest of the map. So although they were trying to play for these C4s, I just think the opportunity never really lined up once they knew that Shin was down there trying to hunt them out. So instead, the call was made to get back to site safely. Don't worry about trying to play for C4s. Would rather keep you alive and have those guns available for if a plant did come through, which, as we now know, it indeed happened. They've cleared out the shield that was on the Aviator doorway, so it again indicates that's where the intent is going to be, looking to push through there rather than trying to flirt with Vault or looking down towards 90 corridor to push in towards games. So I think here on the side of Scarz, you should have this idea in mind. Okay, here's what the plan's going to be for them. We've seen them start setting up for it, as they are still doing now, as Typon still blasting utility through in towards the site. That indicator should come be that we've got to rotate members around here and be ready to hold this angle when the plant attempt does come through.
Why is there no C4 sailing up? The hatch is open. The sound cue should be there. Nostafero should be hearing these footsteps right above him very loudly. In fact, Villa has some of the highest sound propagation recently with the new changes, so he should know that this is happening. Where are those C4s? I'm not sure. 11, however, he wants to take Shin out. He's aware of his position. This is a good play here. But I'm wondering, is Nostafero, is he playing for the plant denial maybe? Is that why he's playing so safe? I'm not sure that's the play, given you could get a free kill right now.
It's always about the play for the C4s. I don't blame them either, but again, the same executes come through, admittedly slightly different in terms of how it's shaped up, but even with 2 smoke canisters inside the site and the C4 coming out, Typon has made that risky run to go right across the site. No one contesting from inside the vault, and I'm not even sure there was anyone covering the angle, so that could have been the freest kill of their lives for Scarz, but Typon gets away with it regardless, maybe not visible through the smoke, but once more, it's a post plant for Scarz and all the work to do. This time, it's not even going down to being a 2 versus 2, it's a 4 versus 2 in favor of FAV, and we spoke around their curse on this map, it feels like. These first 2 rounds, they know what they wanted to do, they knew where they were going to execute, and it has looked everything but shaky. Solid is the best word I'd use to describe it. Nosferatu trying to do what he can down towards the south, still pushing up the stairway, and even Kanos knows what he's got to do. He's got to start sticking the defuse, but there's no time left. This round is done and dusted. Jess and Fav, my God, do they look solid so far, but Scarz, I've got to see them being a bit more aggressive on these defenses there again. No one holding that cross angle from inside a vault. That could have prevented the plant if they'd had the heads-up play to know what was going on.
The fact that you let a plant go down in almost pure sight, the rotate is opened up on the right-hand side of Aviator Wall, so you should be able to see that plant there beside the bomb chassis. That's why a lot of people plant behind the vault door, because you can't have that line of sight. Smoke's rained out in 2 different positions, none connected. A C4 was thrown out as a plant denial, none connected. No underneath C4 pressure when someone was in 90, opening up vault as well. I think Scarz has the right idea. They're just not employing any of it. It's like they're waiting for something to happen, and then when the plant goes down, they're surprised that it's gone down. I mean, not sure what the communication problems are here, but they are going to go down to kitchen. And if we look at history with Fav here, the 2 times they've pushed kitchen, they've lost. No plant, no nothing. Rounds gone to 2 minutes 50 at the very least for both rounds. So maybe this will give Scarz the leg up that they need. Oryx in play as well. Maybe some little cheeky hatches getting open. Some roam capability here. But whether that does anything, that's yet to be seen.
I think the only time we have seen an Oryx work on this map was in LATAM, I believe. I remember seeing a clip of it, of a player who managed to get below Study, up through the hatch, then came up through Aviator and netted 2 kills on players trying to push into Trophy. So plays like that are the ones that I think everyone envisions when they think of Oryx and the kit that he's got, the capability and fantasy that he fulfills, but very rarely do you actually get to see that come to life. So I want to see what Demic can do here. I want to see if Fav make sure they have those bases covered, because like I've alluded to a couple of times, number 2 has been fantastic on that flank watch and making sure that no one can catch them off guard. I guess that's another symptom of seeing a Nomad ban, is you have to dedicate a player to watching those flanks and being ready to challenge someone if they try and go aggressive.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the big star players for Scarz has been Kanos time and time again, but the rest of his teammates do need to step up as well. They are 2 rounds deficit now. And they are on the defense as well. So that's rounds you really need to put in your pocket before you go to the second half. Shin's been doing quite well on pressuring the roamers. I feel like he hasn't really connected, other than when, sort of less than a minute left on that first round, he was able to get the pulse and then got instantly traded by Kanos on the Jaeger. So hopefully they can speed this up. Time management really is the only problem. They're still putting rounds on the board, but they need to speed things up here if it's going to look convincing. Scarz need to show that they can defend at least one of these sites as well.
I mean, this is Villa. This is a map that in APAC had the 2nd best defensive record. 59% was the defensive win rate. We're not talking about Coastline like we were earlier on back in the Fnatic game when they 7-0'd, winning all 6 of their attacking rounds. This is Villa, where you expect defenders to take something away, and we mentioned this new look Scarz. Again, we'll give a bit of lean to them being a bit of a new roster, made a few adaptations recently. It's never going to click from day one. It's the potential this team has that we're excited about, but I agree with you. We've got to see something in this first half. Otherwise, when the switch comes in, this could get rough, and you might just see Fav running away with the game altogether.
Well, drones are spread throughout the map now, so it gives them a good opportunity to find out where these players are. But again, they're finding a lot of intel and they're not acting upon it. Even though they know that there is an Oryx lurking nearby, bottom Astro stairs, they're aware of these positions, but no one's able to really act on it. And now they're just going to go and push onto site into China. Looks like is the play, but it's the wrong play. Trades left, right, and center. The kill feed's going wild. And now it's going to leave Taipon all alone in Pantry. 1v4. He's got a lot of time to deal with it, but that's a big task for anyone, if you ask me.
Well, Kitchen Corridor was certainly a battleground there. Pretty much everyone dead off the backside of it, except for Taipon, as you say, who has now got it all to do with just 30 seconds remaining. Does have the diffuser, but I think finding 4 kills in this time frame is really not going to be that possible, especially when he's now made the decision to rotate away instead and get himself onto an alternative angle. Smart idea, I think, given how things are currently shaping up, but there is someone waiting just around the corner. The pings are coming out. They know approximately where he is coming from, and this should be all too easy for Scarz to be able to clean things up. There we go. That's the round we were looking for. A lot of that being won by 11 with 3 kills to his name in that round.
I wonder whether or not they spoke to each other after that second round and they said, hang on, our roaming is not being effective. What if we just stick closer to site, force them to come to us, force the crossfires onto them, and then we'll have a more effective round? If that's what they were going for, hallelujah, that's exactly what they gave us. But I do wonder whether or not the point of picking Oryx there, because he doesn't particularly have a very strong weapon, whether or not they could have picked a stronger operator to sort of accompany that. Now we've got the Goyo, they've got the Jaeger there. I think that's a better play for them if they do want to turtle a bit more. And it really worked out for them there. Yes, you said it was a battleground. It had to go back and forth. But I don't think FAV, I actually think FAV played into that strategy more than they should have. Maybe gone above, maybe got the verticals, would have played better for them. They didn't do it. And well, yet again, they're going to lose that site. And if the facts say, they might lose this side as well.
I was trying this one out. At least it gives them some kind of confidence, but about turning into more rounds. At least 2 you'd be looking for, I think, here. Well, time will tell. But Lisa's promised that it's not going to be an absolute rollover, and I think that was the big thing that we were looking for. Let's see how this one shapes up, and immediately a bit of downstairs setup going on. Not worried what you come to expect when you're looking towards defending on the upstairs in this case, but that's where they're going to do a lot of their setup work. Interesting. Are they looking to play for the C4s from below? I think that's definitely going to be the game plan. Admittedly, they did try and do that earlier on, remember, but we had Shin charging through and making sure that really wasn't going to be a thing. Here with 3 C4s on side and a couple of reinforcements being committed, they're really doubling down on that strat and saying, no, we've prepped, we've rehearsed with these C4s. Let's make them work for us.
They need to be far more effective with them. As we said, they haven't even used them before in those previous rounds on Aviator. So I want to see them used here. FAV are very aware that this is the plan, and you can see them trying to open up all around 11. Even the wall will get opened up. Grenades get tossed in as well. 11 will dodge that as if it's the Matrix. And now, number 2, barely with life in hand, escaping that vector. I'm not sure whether or not you get a 1.5 on that one. I know you do on the mirror, but I have not played Goyo yet myself to be able to check that one. That's a really good hit onto him. And he doesn't even have the vector. Got TCSG with a good sight, so no wonder he's able to get shots back all the way over into the pantry window.
Pre-nerf TCSG. Oh. What a time to be alive. Mm-hmm. That horrible kind of conflict of, do we use it to open up walls or do we use it to kill people?
Both.
Why not? Shin says, you know what, I can do something as well. Don't need TCSG for this one. Slips in, slips straight back out, bringing down Demic. Last time around, it was Shin who was downstairs. If you recall, he was the one playing to try and kill those playing with C4s. But here, he's on the top floor and has found the smoke of all people in the entry kill.
Yeah, a bit of an interesting one. It did look like they wanted to contest below. They wanted to try and get those players out. Number 2, I absolutely believe he's on 1 HP by the look at that hairline of health there. And I think that might have scared them off from being able to charge in below. So now they've said, okay, horizontal take is the play, but there's still 2 C4s down below, I'm pretty sure. So they really need to be careful of this. But Scarz, if they want to be effective, they've got to throw the C4s at the very least. Even if they don't hit, they've got to try and scare them, push them below. And now I can see someone flanking below as well.
It's all about those trying to be slippery from below. We mentioned about the Nomad ban quite a few times now, and what teams can achieve or what players can achieve if you aren't mindful of their position and what it is they're looking to do. But it does feel like for the most part, we've just seen FAV slipping around the outside of the building, not really worrying to get themselves inside. And you saw with the pace in which Shin got himself back outside, they are very conscious of this C4 play. Maybe they should be a bit more conscious though of the gun players. 3 kills are going to fly through 11. The 3-kill hero from last round is going to find himself 2, maybe even a 3rd. And Taipan once again is the last man left alive. Another 3K comes out for 11, and Scarz, my god, do they clap back.
I didn't even notice 11 had rotated all the way back up to Trophy from below where he was featuring himself with that C4. So that's an interesting one, but nonetheless, they make that work. First C4 we've seen actually connect properly. Wasn't from below, but it still had its intended target hit. And I think for the most part, their strategy is solid, but it's coming down to the fact that FAV, it's almost like they're not choosing exactly which target they want to engage with. And when they get, shot back at, which you expect in this game, you can't just expect that the players playing downstairs are not going to shoot back. They sort of go, oh no, that's too scary, let's go somewhere else. That's not the play. Commit to it, get rid of those C4s below, then go above. It's almost like they get a small hurdle in front of them and they go, oh no, that's too much. And that's time delaying them.
This is going to be the telling round for me, I think. Coming back to the site that they've lost twice in a row now to the same attack from FAV. Both times they're taking control of landing and they've pushed themselves inside of B and gone for the plant and aviator. The second time around ran actually across the room to go to the south wall. So I think here what I need to see is something a bit different from Scarz. Changing up the defense, putting more men in towards study area to help hold that down. Whatever it's got to be, the same thing they've done twice so far has not worked. They want to break that curse and try and turn this into a 4-2. It's got to happen now. You saw those extended reinforcements up towards the north and a mirror window being placed up there right now by Cold Pro. You might just see a couple of members look to play out the north here and try and slow down the side of FAV Gaming. We saw how well that worked out back in round number 1. FAV Gaming had 15 seconds to execute and still managed to close out the round.
We've seen this trophy statue sort of set up from players, especially when Mirror's not banned, in multiple regions now. And he's picking the ADS because he can't electrify the world or destroy that ADS. But nonetheless, he'll wait out for that. I think this works towards a team like FAV. When you've got all 5 players that push from that one side, you're applying so much pressure. What they don't know is that there's a drone yellow pinging them all the way at the top of Astro. So if you're Nosferatu, and I can't even say his name properly, I'm still getting used to this new roster edition, so I'm just going to call him Nost from now on. But if you're
Nosferatu.
Nosferatu, thank you. If you're Nosferatu,
it's Nosferatu, I think, from how it was described to me in DMs, yeah.
Roger. Okay, so Nosferatu, if you're him right now, you have no idea that you're being yellow pinged, and there's an Ash below as well. FAV seem to know exactly how to deal with this, so this actually hasn't really been a problem.
No, but it's more just about the amount of time that gets wasted. And if you can force FAV to start making mistakes, not many were made back in the 15-second execute of round 1, but this is a very different round, a very different situation, and a revitalized Scarz, but a devitalized Nosferatu is the best way to describe it, as he's been taken out pretty early on the mute. Puts us into a 5 versus 4 with still a hell of a lot of time to play with, and a lot of drones for that intel collection. Definitely not starved on that front. They can afford to take a bit of time here. They've broken this top side hold, and now they can start looking towards what's going on site, as all 4 members of Scarz have pulled back, with the exception maybe you'd wager of Canos here is holding on 90, looking to contest someone as they come breaching their way down here.
They've got a lot more time to play with now than they had in previous rounds attacking Aviator, but the rotate has been called, and it might look that Chloroform might want to push over to study, maybe open those walls. I'm not sure if there's any bandits on those walls or if they tried to use them all towards Trophy. That's okay. Canos will swing out onto 90, get a kill onto Shin. That's a good pick. But he'll need more if he needs to be able to hold back this plant. Mirrors, is there one on site that he has been able to use to be able to see over onto B? That's a question. Does he have any mirrors over there? Because intel has been lacking for them when plants have been going off. So my biggest question is, can they stop this push into Aviator? Because it's inevitable. Does this bandit trick go down as well?
Ooh, close but no cigar. They got Bolt though. That's something for them. At least they've got this window open inside so they can see if 11 is trying to be cheeky and trying to peek out. It does work both ways, of course. It does mean that trying to get inside this 90 window is going to be quite tough, as you might just find yourself getting shot out. Instead, they're going to commit to getting the whole thing open here with yet another Selma. And in fact, they're going to commit a C4 to deleting it here. There is, of course, more Selmas available than there are C4s for one player, unfortunately. So it will still get opened up. But once again, FAV are about to execute with 15 seconds to go. Number 2 knows where someone is, but 11 strikes first and finds one. Gets a second. This is what that you should be worried about when these holes work both ways. Chloroform finds a double. Typhon is going for a plant in the same spot once again, but Demic strikes big, brings down the planter, and despite Chloroform's hero play towards the end, it's going to be another round going to the way of Scarz.
Beautiful round there from Scarz. Learn from their mistakes and were able to sort of pick that round up and go, okay, we know how to deal with this. I still, throughout that round, don't know if I saw that second mirror come out at all. And it didn't really matter because in the end, the plant went down behind Vault Door, and it's almost as if Scarz, that's exactly what they needed to be able to know how to deny it. They got those kills really off the back of the Bandit, who was doing his very best to hold Vault off. The repel in from 90 was not the play. They didn't really even have study or South Stairs control either. So swinging in like that was really a death curse. And I think that round was solidly in the hands of Scarz, even though early on it looked like FAV knew exactly how to deal with that extended hold out towards Statue. In the end, no cigar. So now they'll go back down to Kitchen. Had some good luck here thus far, but the push from FAV last time on a Kitchen wasn't so confident, for lack of better words. So they might change things up here.
I can see the intent in that round, and I actually think FAV had the right idea, because if they're broken 11 out of Vault, we would go back to the same occurrence that we had back in round 2 when Typhon was planting in exactly the same spot. There was no crossfire to come from Vault, so FAV very correctly identified we need to break Vault. We need to kill 11 if we're going to be able to go for this. This also gives us the cross angle onto the study door in case someone, like Demic, which is what he did, comes to that flank later into the round. But the fact that you commit 2 members to going for that should be on paper a 2 versus 1. You win that fight. If the first one dies, no problem. There's a second one to take the trade, but they mess it up and 11 finds 2 kills. Small moments like that are the things that make Siege really enjoyable in my mind. People might go, oh, well, okay, he just got shot in the head and they lost the round. No, that whole round spun on the dime of does 11 live or die? And the fact he lived pretty much guaranteed the round from Scarz from there.
I think James had pointed it out as well, is that FAV's one of those teams where one little thing goes wrong and then it just topples. It's this domino effect, and all of a sudden, you know, FAV can't overcome Talon in any way, shape, or form when the round looks almost solidly theirs. That's a mistake they need to fix, and it's one that clearly we've identified they haven't fixed so far. For Scarz, however, we have to applaud them. Roster changes working wonders for them. I'm seeing a far more confident Scarz. They're not changing their lineup rather, I would say their operator lineup more than we'd seen them do in previous stages, previous games. So now it looks to be more confident. I think Shin's looking confident as well for FAV. We just need a couple of the other players like Afro, who's being a big player for FAV, also stand up because it's lacking a little bit.
He was the big carry for them last season. Big boy carry pants, especially, I suppose you could say. Whereas this time round, as you say, Shin is the one doing the work on the Ashe. He has been at the forefront of pretty much every single fight for them as well. Not always getting the opening kill, but always at the very least being one of the first ones in the building. I actually think he missed out on his third opening kill when it was Nosferatu running away and the Mutant. Someone else caught the crossfire and instead got the kill over Shin. But he was still there firing bullets in that first engagement. And this is what we all hyped Shin up to be back at the start of stage 1. This player that had come in regarded as one of the best in Japan and had real capability to make a difference for teams. We didn't see a whole lot of that last season, but I'm glad here in the first game that is starting to come back to light once again.
A time delay yet again coming out and hindering FAV of being able to push over to Kitchen. I don't want to see the same Hail Mary over into China again. That didn't work and surely will not work again. You can see Scarz, they've drawn all their players all the way back onto site, looking like a bit of a turtle hold for them, and that's something that has worked. Canos, no! Oh, buddy, that's your teammate.
How?
I think he had a line of sight down from Astro into Red Hallway, maybe have collected his teammate. I can't find the dead body.
Was this one of those horrible situations where it's like, I'm watching a pixel and if that pixel changes, I shoot, you reckon?
Yeah, absolutely.
Not
I mean,
good.
they don't have outlines on
because that's
like
your top fragger gone as well. That's 11 gone. The top fragger. That's the worst part that's going for them in this one, and that turns into a second kill as Typhon going to find his first kill of the game here, I think, and pick up Canos in response and was punishing him for the sins he committed not too long ago of a team kill. His name's not Corey, man. Don't do that to him. Number 2 steps up and brings down Demic. It's a 5 versus 2. Things looking much better here for FAV, and it's all on the back of a single team kill at the start of the round. And we mentioned how these mistakes can spiral out of control. This is going to be almost a flawless round coming out, it felt like, for the side of FAV there as Shin gets the final kill. Much better for them, and that'll be a third round on the attack.
Well, this is looking far better here for FAV, but it was, like you said, on the back of a couple of mistakes. It almost seemed like it was in reverse. We've seen FAV make mistakes, which just sort of topple into bigger mistakes. Scarz did the same thing on that round. They looked very confident going in to that particular round. They looked confident in the mid and late round. And as we got closer to the execute, things just got a little hairy there. Like you said, that team kill, they had full top floor control. They had lines of sight over onto Red Hallway if someone did try and push Memorial. No one did. They all just funneled through the same door. Again, it was predictable. You knew what was going to happen. They played it out and you lost. And that's probably the biggest kicker, is that you know what's going to happen and it's, coming to fruition again, almost identically, and you can't deal with it. That's a big problem there for Scarz.
Already looking towards the line coming up for Nosferatu here, and I can't put my finger on what it is, but something about a name like that and Lion just really rings that in my head as being familiar. I'm not even trying to be funny. I genuinely look at it and think, where have I seen this before? It just feels familiar, and I don't know why. Either way, we'll see if they can put it to any use. I don't know if it's going to have the same effect as the Lion play that we saw earlier on today for Q Confirm. Producer Boom, I believe, was heading that one up. Walked away with 9 kills himself at the end of the game.
Lusty.
Unbelievable.
Hello? Like,
Was it Lusty?
Lusty on Fnatic, he had over a 2 rating for his game on Coastline, and he was mostly maining line for the entire matchup. It was very impressive.
Maybe it was Lusty then. I know it was the other side that ran it a couple of times too. Mainly Finker actually being ran by Producer Boom on mixing up colours. I think you might be correct. I think it was Lusty, yes. But as far as he hasn't yet found a kill inside these first 6 rounds, so maybe this is opportunity to open up. Mute clearly ain't quite the operator for him. Maybe the Lion is.
Well, when you end a half on 3-3 apiece, it's actually not that bad. We've sort of painted it quite bad for both teams, but it's actually the perfect, I guess, formula for them going into the second half. Maybe a little bit more scary for Scarz, but we've seen them do some really good attacks, and I would say if we had to give them a side, they were more of an attacker-sided team, so maybe this bodes well for them. But we have to see how they go on this round. A lot of drones zooming around, IQ below. This is what you expect on Villa, particularly if IQ is in play. So it's good to see that they're running that.
Chloroform's looking to hold down these stairs and prevent, as we so often see, any players coming rushing up, because control of this is often what you need to get your way inside a study. Most teams will commit 1 or 2 players to trying to push up here, and of course it then comes down to the defenders to commit shields, to commit smokes, to commit anything else they can think of to stop them getting control of this in good time. The one thing that I worry about this kind of hold, especially with the smoke, is that you're burning through these smoke canisters so early on in the round just for the sake of saying no. We don't want to give you stairs for another 20 or 30 seconds, but we know you're going to get them eventually, so hey, it's okay. We'll just burn through a bit of utility. I almost would rather see them held for a little bit later on, or park the Ella on these stairs, give her a shotgun, and let her hold in that way instead.
Well, I believe that's all of the smoke babes gone. That's it. It's all over. So now they'll possibly try and use the Lion to be able to sort of cage him out. They'll use the EE1D to try and keep everyone stationary for a couple of grenades. They're not going to use an EE1D for this, but a few whiff shots, and he'll manage to grab that with barely any life. But okay, C4 sails over and trade for trade for trade. This is exactly what you want if you're the attacking team and if you're the defenders. It's a little bit worrisome, but there is less than a minute left for them to get access to site. They're only just now opening up a little bit of that hard breach, and it puts Shin in a really conspicuous position here.
You're walking into Ella's mines there as well, so you're not only being concussed, but at the same time facing off against that SMG at close range. As we all know, with that rate of fire and the crazy recoil, is pretty much guaranteed to find a head at some point, but still, Canos manages to win that fight against Chloroform. Not a bad start here for Scarz, finding themselves in a 4 versus 3. Still yet to find themselves in the position where they can go for an execute, mind you. Kind of setting up themselves towards 90 right now. A drone going through A, looking in towards Vault to find out, is it safe to go for a push behind the bar here to try and put a plant down. 11 says, you know what, it's safe regardless of the situation, because I can find myself yet another kill. Afro snaps back and brings down Demic as the plant does start going down from Coldpro. Now they're in a spot where it's about just holding these angles and making sure this diffuser definitely goes down. It will be in behind bar, and now it's all work to do for the side of Fav. In fact, it's all on Afro, who, as we said, we haven't really seen stand up yet today. Finds himself a third. Can he get the fourth to complete this one out? I think it's Shin and one more left. In fact, yeah, it was, but he's been down as well. Nosferatu, the new boy, steps up and gets the kill. We mentioned he hadn't found anything for himself so far. Finds 2 kills to close out the round and bring a massive advantage over to Scarz. They now find themselves in the lead at 4 and 3.
Oh, my heart was pumping that entire 1vx situation. I mean, if anyone could do it, it is Afro from FAV. And I thought to myself, oh my goodness, if he gets this last kill, and I had no doubt his down teammate was giving those yellow pings the entire time as to where he was, then that's almost certainly a comeback here on this particular round. But he won't add another 1vx to his particular stats. And however close it was, we've got to give him props for almost being able to pull that together. But it's Scarz in front. And I mean, oftentimes you don't expect us to say that kind of phrase. Scarz being in front of most teams is, not particularly something you ever see, especially if you think about stage 1 and how they performed there. FAV, they got to step something up here. They're on defense. We need to see them put the rounds on the board. Okay, are these both attacking-sided teams? Very possibly, but that's no excuse. If you are the better team, you need to show it here and now.
We've seen, especially in those first couple of rounds, what they can do, though. We know that when it comes round to being decisive, when it comes round to effective execution, even against the clock, they can do so. And those pressures kind of ease off when you're on the defensive side. You're the ones just kind of trying to waste time and prevent the other side from being able to get away with a more comfortable situation than the ones that you've had previously. But the start of that round there with the attack going the way that it did, I'm wondering, or the start of this half, sorry, I do wonder if Scarz might actually now be able to run away with this game, and it would be a shock. We mentioned in that first half how the couple of new members coming in for Scarz meant there was no doubt some gelling time to come in, but they're still finding rounds. And this is where I worry somewhat for FAV. I've already mentioned, I think their attacking preference is definitely a thing. Afro saying, attack, defense makes no difference to me. I can still jump out of windows and kill people. It's just the same game as Siege. Finds the opening kill onto 11. That is the big fragger for Scarz in this whole matchup removed from the board.
I thought he had the SMG in hand there because you just generally assume that those smokes are going to have the shotgun SMG setup. He had the FMG instead, and I thought to myself, my God, he hit the nuttiest shot there from long range with the SMG 11. It wasn't, but it doesn't matter. It's still very impressive nonetheless, and that's 11 down. And we've seen 11 do a lot of really, really strong things on Zofia on attack multiple times. We've said Scarz attacking sided team sort of lose that key piece of your push with so much utility as well. That's got to hurt, and that's probably going to give FAV the opportunity to even the round count if they do this as expected.
The peaceful time now settles in after that snappy window jump out to get the opening kill, and no real panic on either side, it feels like. Scarz doing the drone work as you often expect in the mid-round, getting some information collected in. FAV drawing back from their more aggressive spots and finding themselves more towards the site, I would imagine. By the looks of it, we've got a couple playing downstairs, a couple still on the upstairs, so a bit of a spread between the team. Clearly not feel they've been droned out or threatened enough by the side of Scarz right now that they have to pull back. But this is what I like, playing the map, stretching out a little bit, looking to pick up some free drone kills where you can, or just denying everyone else backwards. And that's a smoke canister wasted out of nowhere. Bit of a pressure play coming in here for Afro, but gets away with his life. The only thing he lost in all that as well was the single smoke canister. Good play from him and Scarz. That clock is running ever lower here as the constant challenges being prevented by FAV are slowing them down.
I am so surprised he got away with his life there. He even managed to pre-fire the common rotate angle hold from Piano. So he gets away with his life. I don't think anyone was holding it, so he couldn't collect any bullets onto that particular opponent. And now with less than a minute left, what can Scarz do? This is almost seeming like it's a FAV remix, all on the side of Scarz. Just checking the positions of all
remix.
A FAV
the new hot
remix.
Single coming out tomorrow.
It's a remix, but with a Scarz flavor. Looks like they might do a laundry push here, that with a pinch from Canos over towards China. This is not something we've seen from FAV before, but they're ever so ready for it. No pantry pressure either, so I don't think this is going to be as successful as they want it to be.
I think he yellow pinged there and a grenade or something came flying through. There was an ADS on the wall. Demic has got really close here. If he swings in, that's it. That's exactly what they needed to unlock this side. Bringing down number 2, but suddenly those still playing above. Strike back. Shin, Afro, and Chloroform all strike big, finding 3 kills. Nosferatu, you know the situation, buddy. Left all alone by himself. Nothing more to be said, and FAV will bring one back. That brings things up to 4 apiece, and this game, Jess, is feeling more back and forth every second that passes by.
I think since the half changed, I felt ever so sure that both of these teams are now equally balanced, especially here on Villa. I said to myself, I'm not entirely sure how we're going to feel with FAV going on to their defense. And now I'm feeling like, okay, I'm absolutely certain here. The Scarz in their attack, it's not awful. Their attack is not awful by any means. And they are losing some of their attacking rounds, but it is looking I would say in some points more confident than we'd seen FAV on some of their parts of attack. So this is what happens, you know, you'll see the first half of Siege in a particular map and you'll go, oh my God, this team is amazing. They're absolutely going to obliterate their opponent. You get into the second half, nuh-uh, that's not how it goes. And this is how one-sided some of these teams can be. It might not always be the map, it might just be their play style, and that's what we're seeing here now. So for FAV, they've got to show that, okay, what they're doing now in defense is working, but for Scarz, they've got to show that their attacking sidedness is what can bring them back against FAV.
Putting up the trophy and stat tree, looks like quite a focus or setup coming in inside of Astro. Some teams, and I always remember it being first popularized by Fabian back when he was on G2, like to bring the Clash along here to play inside of Astro, as you can contest in towards the bathroom, you can test on towards the window, anyone coming up the stairs, and if you feel at any great risk, you just pull back through the rotation holes or back through the main landing area in towards one of the two sites, and you walk away quite safely with your life. But it's all about the delay side of things. With Melusi now on side, she kind of fulfills that role somewhat. No one can just charge in and come and give you grief without first burning through some utility. So there is definitely an intent here from the side of FAV to hold down inside of Astro, no doubt other areas of the map at the same time, and again just try and put some slowness on Scarz, because that seemed to be what worked so well for FAV last time, was wasting their time with the smoke canisters, with the shields, with the roams upstairs and downstairs. There just wasn't enough time for Scarz to do everything, so they had to try and prioritize and got burnt by those playing from above.
This is a little bit of a, like we call a rat angle.
This is cheeky.
That's a little bit of a cheeky one.
I don't call it a rat angle, it's just cheeky.
Bullet hole as well. I don't know about that one. But if we're looking at the stats here, the most successful attacking push that Scarz have had in history has been onto Statue and Trophy. So this is their opportunity to show that, okay, they've been able to plant multiple times in a bomb site in history. Can they repeat it again? It looks like they're getting a lot of challenge downstairs, though, and that's what they're trying to clear. Unlike FAV, on their particular attacks, they weren't able to clear below very well. Looks like Scarz want to do that. They know how they roam when they're on defense. They know how to clear when they're on attack. And it's forcing all of these FAV players downstairs, which is taking a lot of time out of their, you know, particular push here.
Just like in the last round, it's all about the time-wasting element of it, I think. And 11, I mean, he's been caught out a couple of times early rounds so far. I mean, after such a wonderful first half as well, you'd think prioritizing keeping him alive would be one of their top focuses, and with both of their drones now gone, there needs to be some focus on the other side, or on the rest of his team, sorry, to help get him into the building. Two flanking up these bottom stairs down towards Pantry, as you can see. Can Afro and Typhon cause some damage here? 11 must know. No, he doesn't, and gets swung on despite hearing that doorway being beaten down, the barricade being smashed by the two members. He still loses that opening fight, and it's 11 going down. Nosferatu this time has gone down as well. They've now lost their entry, and Scarz are without a spear tip on that long wooden pole they now hold.
Oh, that's a great set of kills there from FAV. They're looking very confident. This might turn out to be a flawless round if number 2 keeps his life, hanging on barely. Looks like Scarz have decided, okay, a little bit of a rotate here is necessary. And if I'm Demic right now, I'm waiting for my teammate to collect himself and come over, because the only way you win a round like this is if you pinch together or you manage to get a multiplicity of trades. They've got 30 seconds left, Derry. This really doesn't seem likely.
No, it's feeling a little bit tight, to be honest with you. A lot of work to do, but Levin know what Demic and Colbro can do. Apparently not a whole lot. They can get traded out is one thing for them, and Demic all by himself now has got the whole world to do, and you saw those bullets coming out, the trails being left showed, the crossfire being set up by FAV, and they take yet another round. That's 2 rounds on the bounce for them now, and they pull themselves back into the lead. But as said, this game has been so back and forth so far, it'd be so difficult to write off Scarz.
It wasn't a bad attack by any means. They did try and clear below, but the defenders, they just had the perfect timing. They moved down through Astro Stairs, they moved down towards the bottom floor, the underground floor, and then managed to rotate up together to make sure they traded. And they didn't even really need to trade. They just moved up and overpowered the players who were playing below. This is what you need to do. If you're a roam clearer, you need to be confident that you are pushing the players before they escape. Villas are trapped that way. You cannot afford to let those players slip from your fingers, because it'll take way too long to get rid of them. And all of a sudden they're popping up, you know, behind you, flanking. This is what Villa really is about. So really good roam there from FAV. A very confident one as well. We'll see whether or not they employ that just the same way we saw Scarz do on their defense.
What I want to see here, now that I've seen that IQ being brought along for Nosferatu once or twice, is that thinking about it, with the line being dropped away here, the play should absolutely be going vertically. We've seen quite a few teams thinking about it I think even on Theme Park, FAV are one of the teams that did this last season, is a very big focus on vertical play, destroying gadgets from below on the site, and then looking to execute onto the site without having to use too much utility, because you've been able to save it thanks to the IQ doing all the work from below. So what I think I want to see and go for here is the team of Scarz take control of the downstairs, then look to go for their upstairs execute once they've dealt with the bulk of the utility that has given them some issues in actually going for a plant on the site.
Looks like Afro wants to open up a lot of these windows, provide that perceived pressure that someone is playing over in bedroom, and they will jump out and peek at any opportunity. It also might give him some late round opportunities to peek over towards study if that's where they are going to be pushing from. And given where Scarz all spawned, it does look like a study play is what they're after here. Maybe that's the plant they're looking for as well.
You just never know what kind of opportunities you'll get in that late round. If someone's holding out on the window, for example, and you manage to jump out and find yourself a free one whilst they're watching into study, every kill counts, as we've seen a couple of times in this game. It comes down to single moments in a lot of these rounds. Players being picked up in the final 10-second execute where it has to go perfectly for the attackers or everything falls to tatters. This is still early round, though. No worries about that kind of chat just yet. We'll give that another 2 minutes or so, and then we'll see how things are shaped up once the round has concluded. But again, it's about this downstairs control, and that's where Nosferatu starting himself out, getting the pings in with the information from the drones. There we go, things being pinged out as they go. So this should be a bit of a cleanup job for the side of the attackers here, getting rid of that utility as mentioned, and then looking to stage themselves for an execute.
They're struggling to try and get this sort of main stairs control as well, because for the most part, you need to be able to also pinch across. The window's open in bedroom, so Canos is ever so aware of this. No. Afro is there. Does he see? He does, and that's an easy kill. We spoke about it before, and it's almost cast a curse. Grenade sails in as well, but doesn't collect its target, and in fact, oh, goodness me. There's a shotgun awaiting Demic. Whew, love that. Oh, does he see that vertical? He did not. Missed out on a free kill there. But that's a good couple of kills there from the defenders, and this is looking far more confident.
11 strikes back, though, with a vengeance, bringing down Shin after finding that opening kill, or one of the second kills, sorry, with the shotgun, I should say. 4 versus 3, it's still a numbers disadvantage for Scarz, mind you, but they can always bite back, get those claws out and show FAV Gaming what they're made of, give them the right opportunity to do so, and they will strike. The big thing going for them is 11, the guy who's on form today, is still alive here, hasn't been picked up quite early on in the round. Please don't cast a curse and die for me, 11. I swear to God, I will never forgive you. 4 versus 3, and you can see him starting to square up here. They've got some control, but not enough, I think, to go for a full execute, given you've now got Typon and Afro starting to flank their way down 90. They could play a huge spoiler here.
They also don't have any of the walls really open for access. The Cobra is still alive, so he could open it up if he wants, but he hasn't pulled out any of his gadgets to do so. So it looks like they're just going to enter through the doorways, try and get line of sight from study. Plant actually begins for some reason. No real cover at all, and this is all free for number 2.
Oh my, how did he miss it? that's focused down a crosshair. That's what that one was. I was like, surely you don't just walk in there and look at this. Watch. Oh, he kind of misses him under the crosshair, to be fair, at least initially. All right, I'll give you that one ever so slightly. That was a bit of misdroning, I think, on the side of Scarz, not knowing that number 2 was on site. Like, they have a player watching through that half wall that we mentioned, gets opened up a lot these days on the study wall. He was watching through in towards Vault, ready for when we saw Typon come and try and contest so the plant could go down. It's the exact reverse of what we saw happening in the first half. The fact they don't know number 2's there, swings out, finds a kill, swings around and gets the planter. No one can stand inside the study doorway because there's still players left alive inside the Vault. So number 2's just free to step around and find a third kill. Beautiful play from that, but again, a single moment in time, the non-droning of number 2 cost that round for the side of Scarz. That now puts us at match point for FAV.
I'm wondering if there was a mute jammer on that particular wall where he was playing, but why would you not attempt to try and open it? Even just the line of sight, he did try one of those rounds, and I can't remember what the round number was.
The thing is, they weren't even playing mute there. They had Valkyrie, Malusi, Jaeger, Ella, and Smoke, right?
Oh, well, there you go. There was no wall denial for him to have possibly thought that he couldn't have opened that particular wall. So why he didn't try and X-Cairo it is beyond me. I'm wondering if there's a lot of stressful communication between the team, especially in the dying moments of the round, and that's causing them to be taking or making really rushed decisions rather than thinking it through thoroughly. Had they have tried to open that, it would have forced the player to move out from behind that reinforcement, and they could have collected him even with a pinch. I don't know if anyone was peeking from Vault at the same time, but that seems like a better strategy than they attempted to employ in the last 30 seconds there. Nonetheless, match point here for FAV. This is their opportunity to say, we're not getting 7-0'd again. We're actually going to 7-4, 7-5, whatever this might turn out to be. And that's a bit of a confidence booster for them, especially on Villa.
I'm going to give a shot. Oh, what is this? Out the window and runs around and finds a kill. Shin. Well, that was...
Hello?
I don't think I've ever seen that happen. Genuinely never. Yet it seems such a common thing that could potentially happen. But the fact that he gets away with it and doesn't get killed from someone playing on rappel or playing down inside spawn on drones, for example, it's crazy that he can get out a study window, run down, kill one on balcony, and then get back in through the same window again without being punished. That could be game, set, match right there.
It's also awful because it's the grenades off the board, and it's something they've been trying to use as part of their push, no matter what it is, whether it's a shield, whether it's a player. They've been trying to use Demic's grenades, especially to apply pressure. Look at these Banshees as well. I mean, okay, they've got Zofia, but got Ash as well, but how much of that are they really going to be able to use? I think there's only one Ash charge left, so that's only one more Banshee they can get rid of. And there it goes on our screen now. Now it's going to have to be some of these players of Scarz really stepping up. Canos is one of them. He's a player that has shown he can be a star player when needed. Now is when he is needed.
Time to stand up. Got to give a shout out to number 2. I mentioned him earlier on about how successful he was on Takumi Festival with a ridiculous KD, the rest of his team being negative. The big standout player last stage didn't have the best performance. Here, he's on 12 kills, playing in this more supportive style role. Really good game coming out of him so far. And for the last few rounds, FAV have rallied around, and even Afro has woken up as well. First half, he was all but silent. In this half of the map, making himself known. The whole team stepping up big time for them, and I'm loving to see it. Scarz still in with a chance here, mind you, with 60 seconds left. Yes, it's a 4 versus 5. Yes, the numbers are coming against them, but they have quite a few drones left alive. They have the information to play with. Let's just hope there isn't a slip of presence again or a slip of mind in the same way there was towards number 2 on site in that last round.
Looks like 11's trying to wait for that peak, but it's not going to happen thus far. EE1D comes out and the drop will give his position away. They don't seem to be aware that it does ping him. They're focused elsewhere for now. Oh, that typical angle from up onto Trophy all the way down to Memorial. That's going to collect a player. It's a very good angle, and you've always got to be aware of it. And now, 3v5. Can they put this on the board? They need to. This is match point here for FAV. Shot coming out from Chloroform. Beautiful headshot on the SMG, and now it's all up to Nos. On his own, he won't be able to collect a single one. If he can't hit these shots, he will eventually get Chloroform. Smoke comes out, and that's all she wrote. Round over, game over, GG. And what? That's going to be the first Villa win here for FAV that they've ever put on the board.
GG, no re is how that often tends to go. A couple of rounds there in that second half that was just really dominant coming out of FAV, to be fair, slaughtering through the side of Scarz. And I think it's fair to say, in that first half, with the 3 rounds back-to-back for Scarz, we did see some promise coming out of them. Even in rounds when Shin was jumping out and finding the entry kill, it was still managing to turn rounds away and pull them back. A big shout out to 11 for a great performance, but I love the FAV that we saw today there. I was concerned coming into the second half that Scarz would take the momentum and run away with it, but they rallied back around and got everything right towards the end. Admittedly, helped by a few missed dronings coming out of Scarz, but either way, a result is a result. 7-4.
Yeah, look, I think FAV showed a lot of greatness there, but we have to shout out to Scarz as well. They walk away with a loss, but those roster changes show a lot of promise. Let's see what our analysts think about it. We'll throw it over to them.